The final topic before we get into the myriad of super chats we have from the millions of people watching across the globe. Are the Niners ascending or descending? The way they sort of framed this season from the beginning was that they were going to go young and they were going to be transitioning, and sure, they'd like to win a Super Bowl, but they're building something for the future, which would imply that, 12-win team, they're ascending. But are they? What do you think?
Okay, I love this question. They may be ascending on defense.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a lot of young players, and if they all get together, they may be ascending. But Iggy, on offense, absolutely not. They're
Mm-hmm.
descending. They're in a whereas I think Seattle is ascending. The Niners are in a decline. Why are they in a decline? Let's take Kyle and Brock out of it for a moment.
Yep.
The left tackle is really old. He pulled the hamstring running. No one hit him. He pulled the hamstring running. He's a professional athlete. He's a multimillionaire. He doesn't play in the key game, and he misses games every season. He's going
And
to
we
be.
don't know if he'll play in Philly.
We don't know, and he'll be older next season.
Mhm.
That's one. The running back is getting older. He may be in the decline. I think Bill Walsh would get rid of him after this season because he can't be a running back anymore. The great tight end, what is he, 32? He was hurt a lot this season, and he was a non-factor yesterday.
Yep. Just like he was a non-factor in both Super Bowls.
Yes. Tight end, I'm sorry, wide receiver, they have Ricky Pearsall, who's very gifted, but he's always hurt. He's always hurt. So what they have a bunch of old guys who are fragile.
They're supposed to have Ayuk, but not anymore.
Not anymore. They have a bunch of old fragile guys, and they have young fragile guys, like the quarterback and the wide receiver. They got a lot of fragile guys, and it's bad when they're also old. So I see this offense won't be as good next season as it is this season.
Remember that show that my mom used to watch, The Young and the Restless? The Niners offense is the old and the fragile. They are. And they have a combination of old and fragile players. Purdy, fragile. Pearsall, fragile. Trent Williams, old and fragile. George Kittle, old and fragile. Christian McCaffrey, old and fragile in the past. Jawan Jennings, old and fragile. Well, tough, but
he's tough. But so how can you say that they're going to be a better team next year when the offense, unless they're going to get absolute superstars? I mean, and another thing, Iggy, are they going to go into next season with that fullback again? Is this what they're going to do?
Yeah.
He's always the worst player on the field. How do you play like that?
And he's almost 35 years old, man. Are you ever going to move on?
Yeah. I mean, I think a gesture to the fans, say, he was very good 49er. He's too old. He has such a limited role. Use Tonjes in his place. Tonjes could do the same things. And what's more, he's a better player. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of deadwood or approaching deadwood on that offense.
I agree. I'm going to use the Niners' words against him. Remember when Lynch said they were going to take their lumps? The premise is that you're going to play young guys so that you accelerate their development. They make mistakes, they play, they get better, they learn from them. And that's what Saleh did on defense. He stuck with Upton Stout all season. He stuck with Alfred Collins and CJ West all season, and they're much better players because of it. Kyle didn't let anyone on offense take their lumps this year. All the offensive players they drafted, Jordan Watkins, Jordan James, none of them played. Jordan James played 0 snaps this year. He might be great. He might be awful. We don't know. And it's like, why? So you could get 31-year-old DeMarcus Robinson on the field for his 11 catches this year? Why? And he's been that way for a while. Like, what's the last young guy he's really developed other than Brock?
I was going to say he did. Let's give him credit for developing Brock. Who else?
Who else?
Maybe
Ayuk?
he developed Ayuk, who's now lost his mind and doesn't play anymore. Ricky Pearsall, who doesn't play anymore, but is a good player. But if they don't play, you don't get credit for him because
Debo 8 years ago and now he's gone.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tonjes, who you won't play.
Yeah, and you won't develop.
Right.
I don't get it. So
They're kind
Iggy,
of descending, and even the
I,
offense, the defense, which is ascending in the under the direction of Robert Saleh, who's in a year-to-year kind of a deal here.
yeah, and I'm going to point something else out. They had a really good record this season. They're
Yep,
going to have a much harder schedule in the
that's
next
true.
season than this one.
Yep,
I mean, one of the things they benefited from was teams like the Titans and the Colts were good, but when they played them, they stunk. They were playing a guy who was could have been in a wheelchair.
yep,
Um, so I think the offense won't be as good, and the schedule will be tough, tough.
yeah. Like, was this season the beginning of a new direction for this team, or was it like the last gasp of a older group of players? And it felt like it was McCaffrey and Kittle and uh, the older guys sort of carrying the team this far. And they ran out of gas at the end of a long season. Maybe they'll have a second wind in the playoffs, but didn't look like that last night.
If they have a second wind in the playoffs and they do really well, we'll say we were wrong. We won't
Yeah,
apologize because we're not calling anybody names. We're just giving our honest, best of our honest opinion. But I'll acknowledge we were wrong. But you ask, is it the beginning or the last gasp? I'm saying last gasp.
yep, yep. The end for McCaffrey, Juszczyk, Kittle, Trent Williams. Those four. Those four. And
Iggy,
it's time for Kyle to find like the next group on offense. And I don't know what he's doing there. Got to figure that out. Is it Ricky?
Iggy, if they appointed me general manager after this season, I would part ways certainly with McCaffrey.
Hmm.
Um, I would think about with Kittle. I would think about with Trent Williams, or I would get a left tackle who would really challenge him and threaten him for sure. And Iggy, I wouldn't trust Pearsall. I would go in the market for wide receivers, more than one.
I agree.
Then their wide receivers, except for Pearsall, who doesn't play, are really slow.
Yep.
They're a slow
I, I'm
team.
I'm concerned about Kittle. He's 32. He'll be 33 next year. Obviously, he played 11 games this year, which means he missed 6. He played 554 snaps, which is about half of the team's total offensive snaps. He's not trending the right. He's descending.
I want to say something about McCaffrey. After the game yesterday, they come in they talk. And he's very generous in a sense. He's generous in the sense that he comes to talk, but he's not generous in the sense that he doesn't ever actually say anything. He is the 49ers Buster Posey. Buster
Right.
Posey used to drive me wild. He had about 4 or 5 things he said, and it was you could clearly he wasn't thinking. He didn't give a shit, and that's McCaffrey. So on the play where he flipped the ball over to the Seahawk, and they blew that late game drive. So he comes to the press conference and what happened on that play? Right? Well, I think Brock Purdy would have been honest answering that. He goes, "I this is a paraphrase, but it's close. I have to look at the tape. It's something I could learn from. I could learn from that." And I'm thinking, if I were in there and still working, I would have said, that's very interesting what you just said. You could learn from that. What could you learn?
Yeah.
What could you learn? Did you
Yeah.
learn that you're supposed to catch the ball?
Right.
Oh, you didn't know that before. You had to look at the tape to know you're supposed to catch the ball. So when he says, Iggy, um, I'm going to learn from it, what it is he's a bullshit artist at that
Yeah.
moment. I'm not saying in
That's
his
true.
life. He may be wonderful, but what he's saying is meaningless just to get through the moment and not to
Yeah.
satisfy the media. I need to learn from it.
And that's the thing about that I love about you as a Brooklyner, as a New Yorker, is whenever you hear bullshit, like you call it out reflexively. Like you can't even stop. It's like, wait a second.
Oh,
As Californians, we're like used to it. We're like, all right, he's bullshitting.
yeah.
We get it. You know what I mean? You're like, no, you can't say that behind the microphone. You can't say that. You're gonna learn
No.
from it. No.
And the way I would handle it is what do you mean by learn from it, and what would you learn? And then
He would have been like, I shouldn't have said that. I'm bullshitting, right?
good.
You
And then
got
he
me.
would know not to screw
Yeah.
around the next time I'm in the room.
True.